back, everybody. My next guest is the Pulitzer Prize-winning expert on the Roosevelts, LBJ, and Lincoln. Her new book is Leadership in Turbulent Times. Please welcome our friend, Doris Kearns Goodwin. Well, you have written so many books about Lyndon Johnson and the American Dream, the Fitzgeralds and the Kennedys. You've written Team of Rivals about Lincoln. You've written about The Bully Pulpit, which is about TR. Now you have a book called Leadership in Turbulent Times, which is about Lincoln, TR, FDR, and LBJ. You didn't even have to do any research, right? You just sat down at the typewriter and started slapping this stuff out.
I knew you'd tease me. So anyway, what happened is each time I finished one of my fat books, like Teddy or Franklin, I'd have to put all my books away from that person and go to the next guy, and I felt like I was leaving an old boyfriend behind, so I felt guilty. So I figured, I'll bring them together, and I'm going to look at them in a new way.
Do they get along? All your old boyfriends are in one book together? That could lead to a bar fight.
Well, it does sometimes, but that makes it fun. I get to watch it. No, but the truth is, by looking at them through leadership, before I was looking at their colleagues, their families, everything's going on in these big fat books. Now I'm just looking at them through leadership. It's much more intimate. I'm asking questions of them. You know, where did your ambition come from? I'd love to know that about you, about anybody here.
I'll ask the questions. Well, before you've written biographies, this is the first book you've written that's about an idea. Why
Correct.
did you feel like now was the right time to talk about the challenge of leadership in turbulent times?
Because I sort of felt there was an absence of leadership in turbulent times.
Oh, really?
And my guys...
Yep.
Okay, listen to the qualities they have. Just listen and think about if it reflects today. Humility, empathy, resilience when you go through tough times, being able to control your negative emotions, self-reflection, courage, those kind of things.
Do you think any of those traits, how do I say this? Do you think which of those that Trump could use most right now to deal with the turbulent times we're in? I mean, he is part of the turbulence himself, as part of the challenge.
I think the most important trait that they guys shared at their best moments was empathy, which means you understand other people, you care about what they're feeling, and you're able to communicate their different parts of the country together. Teddy Roosevelt warned that the rock of democracy would fail if people in different regions, races, and religions began to see each other as the other. That's what's happened in our country. That was pre-Trump. And we need a president who can somehow bring those divisions to heal those divisions. Teddy used to go around a train all around all the places he lost as well as the places he won, not just getting his base going. We need that kind of leader so badly today. So I wanted these guys to come back.
As you said, these guys are like your old boyfriends. You've written, you've had sort of intimate relationships with each of them as you've written biographies about them. Who's your favorite?
Well, Lincoln, without a question. I mean, I sort of fell in love with him. I mean, I felt like if I understood him, he was the kind of person who, he had resentments, normal things. He had envy, he had ambition, he had jealousy. But he said, if you allow those emotions to fester, they'll poison a part of you. So every time one of those emotions comes out in me, I just think, Lincoln would say, stop. And he was funny. He could tell funny stories all the time. He had a sense of humor. I knew when I started on him that I was going to like him as a statesman, but I had no idea how funny he'd be and that I'd be laughing by his side.
If you had to bring one of them back to challenge President Trump,
sir.
Who would it be?
It would be Teddy Roosevelt, sir.
Oh.
Anyway, the reason being that you need somebody who can command the center of attention. Teddy could do that, absolutely. I mean, he was the person who they said wanted to be the baby at the baptism, the bride at the wedding, and the corpse at the funeral. And he was colorful that way. He also had short statements. He'd be great at tweets. You know, he would say these things like, you know, speak softly and carry a big stick. Don't hit until you have to and then hit hard. Or he even gave Maxwell House the slogan, good to the very last drop.
Wait,
But
that's from Teddy Roosevelt?
that's Teddy Roosevelt, my guy, one of the guys that I was intimate with.
Well, one of them you actually knew quite well. This is a photograph of you. You were working for LBJ. You're at the podium. There's you next to Lady Bird. This is in 1968. How old are you here?
25.
You're 25 years old. You seem to be having a high old time. You're really enjoying. Had he just said something funny? What is happening in this photograph?
Well, this photograph is after I'm already working for him in the White House, and
Yes.
we're presenting a report to him about youth participation.
Yes.
But prior to that, I had met him a year before when I became a White House Fellow, this crate program. We had a dance at the White House. He did dance with me, not that peculiar. There are only 3 women out of the 16 White House Fellows. But as he
Okay.
twirled me around the floor, he whispered that he wanted me to be assigned directly to him in the White House. But it was not to be that simple. For in the months leading up to my selection, I was a graduate student at Harvard, like many young people active in the anti-Vietnam War movement, had written an article against him, which unfortunately came out in the New Republic 2 days after the dance in the White House. And the title of the article was How to Remove Lyndon Johnson from Power. So,
He must have read that article.
after I was already in the White House, after we danced, and he said I was going to work for him. So I thought I'd be kicked out of the program. But instead, surprisingly, he said, oh, bring her down here for a year, and if I can't win her over, no one can. So that was pretty cool.
Did he win you over?
He never...
Hold on 1 second. Did he win you over?
He won me over, not on the war, but on himself. He was the most interesting, formidable, incredible character I've ever met. I mean, he would call people in the morning in the Congress at 6 a.m., he'd call them at noon, and I'd be there to listen to this. He'd call them at midnight, he'd call a senator at 2 a.m. I hope I didn't wake you up. No, I was looking at the ceiling, hoping my president would call. It was the most great experience of my life. It was a privilege to work with this character. He was so sad when I knew him. I worked on his memoirs. He's down at the ranch, and he knew his legacy had been cut in two by the war in Vietnam. But what he did on civil rights will be remembered forever.
Well, I certainly don't want to get you in any trouble, but
Oh, yeah.
Are there any politicians you see today serving at an international or a local level that you think embody the qualities of leadership you see as a commonality for these 4 men?
I don't know an individual, but what I'll tell you I think it'll come from local areas, it'll come from states. Every change in the country comes from the ordinary citizens who get active. And the thing that was most exciting to me about the midterm elections was that people were awakened. More people stood in long lines than ever before. More women ran for office than ever before. More young people got excited. So somewhere out there, every change, like, for example, Lincoln was called the liberator. He said, don't call me the liberator. It's the anti-slavery movement that did it all. It was the progressive movement in the cities and states before Teddy and Franklin. It was the civil rights movement before LBJ. So somewhere out there, there are people. We don't know them yet. We're going to know them, hopefully, in these next months and years ahead. We will. I know it.
Well, the book is Leadership in Turbulent Times. The young lady is Doris Kearns Goodwin. Thank you, Doris.
Young lady.
Apologies.